Hey, thanks for coming back for the second segment. Hope you're ready for this conversation. This segment is based on family dynamics, which is really important to understand the blueprint of how you parent today. You gotta take a look at the past. So we dig deep into that and we see how those similarities or maybe non-similarities of how you parent today and where it comes from. So without further ado, segment 2.
Okay, Kevin, I want to ask you, what traits or characteristics do your kids share with you, whether it's physical or personality?
Oh man. So let me start from my oldest. My oldest, Brooke, she is very adventurous. And at that age, I was always trying to explore things because my mother, like I said, she was very strict. And being that my father went through, the prison system, she didn't want us to follow that same suit. So she would kind of hide a lot of things that were happening within our communities from us. And Brooke, and at that time, I really wanted to go out there and kind of figure things out myself. So when she wasn't around, when she would make us go outside and play, I would try to be adventurous. And I think Brooke is very adventurous. Kay is very helpful. I think the older I got, that's why I like to identify myself as a public servant, because I love helping people. And Kay is extremely helpful, and she has that trait. And I would say Caleb, who's my son, he's very energetic. Extremely energetic, and he reminds me of myself because for some reason I wake up with a lot of energy every single day to kind of go out there and do things, which I know because I have to wake up with energy with 3 kids.
Right.
But it's very, very energetic. But I would say all my kids are very loving. There are times where, and I'm a very loving individual, there are times where they know I've had a bad day or I've had a tough day, and they'll know it. They'll come in like, "Daddy, all right?" Or they'll like rub my head or just put their, give me a kiss. Or, small little signs of affection or words of affirmation that they give me really keep me going. So I think my kids, I would say all of them have that loving trait within them. But yeah, that's their individual characteristics and traits that they got from me.
Can I ask them a question?
Sure,
bro?
Yeah.
Have your kids ever asked you to grow your hair back?
No, but they make jokes about it.
Every day, my daughter. Every day, Dad, you should grow your hair back.
Yeah. So I tried, when Jadakiss came out. And remember when Jada was trying to grow his hair back? Yeah. I felt it. So I was like, let me try this too. So I tried it with my oldest daughter, and she didn't like it. She was like, "Nah, you gotta cut that thing."
So when he said the whole head rub, I'm like, yo, my daughter stay rubbing my hair.
Yeah.
But characteristics. Well, my daughter's definitely funny. But the funny thing that I realized with my daughter is how attentive she is. So all my life growing up, I always been able to pick up on things. Like I could tell if you blink a lot. I could tell if you use a certain word a lot. Like I'm always able to pick up on things. And my daughter hit me with it the other day. The other day she goes, "Daddy," I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And she goes, "Do you know when you do this eye thing when you're explaining something?" So I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "You open your eyes a little bit wider and you explain whatever you're explaining." And here I am trying to but it's like, "Are you me?" To my daughter, like, "Who are you?" But I would definitely say her energy comes from me, but the way she's able to pick up on the fine little things, it puts the pressure on me where it's like I can't even lack anything. I have to be on game, on point with everything because she's on point. She got it for me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Cool.
Oh, me? Yeah, sure. My oldest, creativity. She's an amazing painter, but she picks up a Polaroid camera. Her mother's a photographer, and I'm a director, so she gets that from both of us.
Right.
But I see that she has a lot more interest in it now. And even our youngest, Emery, she's, like I said, 1, and she takes the phone and instead of just swiping through the phone, she's going to the camera and taking pictures. And she takes pictures of me or her mother. And I'm like, these are composed. The composition makes sense, even though she's 1. So the kids are just always watching. To your point, right? There's always watching. They're always just trying to pick up on any little thing that they want to do. Like, my oldest, I'm a video gamer, so she's like plays video games. And she's like asking me to play video games with her and her friends. I'm like trying to show her things and teach her things. So all of those things, I think.
They're playing 2K against each other?
Nah. She won't mean 2K. I'll put 300 on her. Like,
She might be surprised.
But she plays Roblox, so she was like, oh, let me teach me Roblox.
Yeah.
And she's watching me. Like, I'm getting cooked. I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like,
Wait, we could play Roblox
Yeah,
too?
you can play people against.
no, so yeah,
I've never
so
played
I know
it.
that.
yeah, there's like they play like some like who done it solve it game or whatever, and like so I got my iPad, she has her iPad, and we're playing on like a server, playing against each other. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
and she's cooking me. And I'm tight because I'm like, I don't understand these mechanics. Like, iPads are different. Like, give me a controller.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up with Nintendo. Give me a controller.
Cool.
So don't feel bad. I share in that same kind of struggle with you. I hate to admit it, but yes, I have a Roblox account. My son like forces me and his mom to play Roblox with him. So
I need to get a Roblox account.
dude,
Well,
my son forces us to play with him. Like,
kind of a little bit off topic. You should get one anyway, just so you know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, if they
definitely-
Roblox crazy, get one. And it's like, oh, let me play with you, and then you just see what's happening. You're looking at like what comments are happening and things like that. That's another question later, I think, but that's definitely something I would encourage. If your kids have Roblox, get an account and just play with them, and just so you know what's going on,
but in terms of trait, from a physical sense, both of my sons stole my face. So, like literally, like splitting images of me.
Yeah.
But from a different sense, my oldest son, he's like me in the sense of like I'm hyper focused on things. So if I have a task in front of me, like I lock in until that task is done. And I see my son, he has that same kind of mentality. I can't say too much about my 5-month-old because, he's still laying on his back almost every day and doing tummy time for a minute at a time. So, but he's an awesome kid. Both the kids are super funny and they love to play, and I think they get that from me.
Awesome. Yeah. So again, having 2 boys, 21 and almost 19. So physically, I think watching them grow, they kind of morph, I think, in who they look like. So early, like our oldest son, I thought he was my, carbon copy. But then now as he's older, I see more of his mother physically. And our younger son, I always thought he looked more like his mother growing up. And now he looks more like me, actually. The older son I showed them a picture of when I was in college, and I had a high top fade, and it was so our youngest son is a little lighter than I am. He said, Corey would look just like you, or you look, if you had cornrows and a little bit lighter, and so I don't know. I did see it though. I did see it in terms of physically the traits. But personality, I think also, like mentioned, I think they both have a sense of humor. They kind of get that from me. I'll take credit for that. But no, my mom, their mom is pretty funny too. And yeah, I think they both are both giving people. I'm also a servant, a public servant, well, civil servant, if you will, and I think they both like to help people in some ways. So yeah. That's pretty much what they got from me.
So you say you had cornrows before?
No, my youngest son had cornrows.
He had the high top fade.
I had the high top fade. I had some twists too for a hot second.
You was full kid and play.
I was like the early Busta Rhymes. In school, I had that for a second.
Mike, make sure you put a side-by-side picture. You gotta put the picture right here. I need it.
Yeah.
And hold up really quick with the Bald brothers. Don't feel bad. I'm in that struggle too,
Yeah.
So
I chose to be. So since we here again, right? My hair still grows. I just choose. I choose. I had the little corners kind of started playing with me, and I'm like, all right, you're not playing with me like that. But I could get right. I could grow braids, dreads, the whole nine. But I decided not to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not so sure I can still. I'm still working on it, but Yeah, I had to let it go at some point. You gotta let it go.
It's funny when they don't let it go.
Yeah, gotta let it go.
Go to Turkey.
What family dynamics from your upbringing shaped your parenting?
Oh man, family dynamics that shaped them. I think just the tight-knit bond that we have as a family. Like me, my lady and my kids, we have a pretty tight bond. Like we'll watch TV together, we'll play video games together, we'll try to eat dinner together, like little things like that. Like I got that from my upbringing. My family was pretty tight-knit. So like, I remember our Sunday dinners and stuff like that. So I try to kind of bring that into now me being a father.
Right. Awesome. Bryce?
Yeah. So I think a lot of the family dynamic we have comes from my wife because of how big her family is. So, the Sunday dinner thing, the us being together thing, she drives a lot of that, so she leads in that aspect. For me, my mom was an educator, so I'm really big on schoolwork, homework. So I make sure that all the homework's done every day. And if there's not homework, we're trying to figure out something else to do. I do our best. I can't say I'm perfect, but I do my best in that aspect because I think education is really important, especially in the Black community. I think that raising girls, girls are smarter than boys in academics.
Wait.
Sometimes. Come on, listen. There's a lot of women here that y'all can't see.
He's a girl dad, man.
Yeah, I'm a girl dad. So I have to say these things because I believe them. I think I'm growing the next, generation of geniuses. So because of that, I think, my mom gives me a lot of that education. So that's why I try to stay in there. But the family dynamic, my wife really does drive that. I'll be honest.
Awesome. Okay. Bryce?
Oh, me? I thought it was gonna go to him. No. Mine's is kind of like a potluck, in a sense, where I wasn't able to just grow up with one family. I moved from house to house growing up, and I took pieces with me. So with my daughter, it's kind of like I said earlier, we're figuring this out together because it's pretty much new for me. Yeah.
Okay. I'll piggyback over Francis because I think it's kind of new for me too. Like my mother was always working, so when my grandmother was alive, of course we would go spend holidays with her. But then when my grandmother passed away in high school, those holidays were kind of limited. So I think I get it from just like Bryce said, I get it from my wife. She's really heavy with her family. They celebrate everything. I'm talking about a birthday, a tooth missing, anything. They are having a birthday cake, they singing, and I love that aspect of their family dynamic. Mm-hmm. I think within my family dynamic, we're Caribbean, so we always like to make sure that on holidays like Easter, Thanksgiving, we're having like a table full of food and things of that nature. So I think I'm trying to establish a family dynamic now that I want my kids to actually continue as they get older.
Okay, cool. I think similar with all of you. Family was very important. Sunday dinners, I could relate to that. It's very important that we eat together. Sharing a meal is always important. My wife and I both have large families. Hers is actually larger than mine, so family was like really important, especially like extended family, making sure they know their cousins and so on. So get-togethers, family reunions, that was always pretty important. Also, just growing up, I'm also a preacher's kid, so a pastor's kid. So church was important too. So we tried to continue that. We're talking more like family dynamics. I'm also hearing family traditions. What about like family values? Like, could you raise your voice to your mother or your father, or how you talk to your elders? Has that kind of crossed over into your parenting? So
I'm trying to switch it up and have balance within my household. Because growing up, when my mother said something, that's what she said. But now, of course, you're reading more. You're trying to make sure you're raising kids with confidence. I try to I listen to my kids when they're expressing, that they disagree with something, but in a respectful manner. And I think one family value I didn't speak about before is finances as well. I'm very big on speaking to my kids about money and financial literacy. Me and my wife, we just hired a financial coach. So we have meetings every week where we discuss our budget, and the kids are a part of these meetings too. Our financial coach makes us take out like all the money, and he makes us put it on in different envelopes. So I like taking out the money when we get paid and like make my kids hold it like, hey, this is all the money we have. And they love it. They're like, oh my God, look at all this money. But this is the responsibilities that we have to put them towards. We have to invest, we have to save, we have to make sure we're taking care of our bills and the responsibilities of the household. So I think that family value of speaking about finances, which is something that wasn't really talked about when I was getting older. My mother just told me to save. Your eye too red. She always just told me all the time. But I think those family values are something that I practice now, and allowing my children to express themselves respectfully. If I actually do your homework and you don't want to do it, I'll listen to you. You still got to do your homework, but I'll listen to you and not just tell you to be quiet. I told you what to do. Try to have that respect, because when they get older, you want them to be able to express themselves with confidence.
Absolutely. How old are your children again?
My 10, 6, and 3.
Okay, so you're gonna have to repeat that financial literacy in about 3-4 years when they become teenagers. Shopping across all genders.
Yeah.
Of course, you're gonna have to make sure they balance that.
There's something you said. I just had it. The biggest thing that I see with family dynamics is one, the communication. And to piggyback off you, it's like whatever your mom said stood. Whatever I say still stands for the most part. Every once in a blue moon, she's able to say something, but I do listen. I do take in the voice. Me growing up, I did not have a voice. And then, of course, you reach a certain age where you lash out, and then they finally start listening to you. But
I didn't want that. Because I remember that moment when, I'm sorry to cut you off, brother. I remember that moment when I was growing up and I lashed out at my mother. And from then, I felt like we didn't have a healthy relationship until I was able to understand. But I know what that moment is.
Exactly what it is. So I let her be able to vent a lot. And the biggest thing that I would say that's different from my upbringing is the amount of conversations we have where I'm the one listening.
Yeah.
That's the biggest part, where I'll literally let her go. And then with time, decipher is like, okay, should I really be listening to her, or I'm listening to her too much? Because I don't want her to feel like we're friends neither. Right. And that's the biggest part, is that when I was growing up, that was the main thing my parents or guardians wanted me to know, is that we are not friends.
That's right.
I want my daughter to feel like she can come to me as a friend, though, even though I'm her parent.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah, I feel that, what do they say? We're not the same size. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it was. I won't kill y'all with my bad password, so it's fine. But for me, definitely same thing. Like, whatever my mom said was like law, you know what I'm saying? We older you get, you end up having better relationships. But in the beginning, when you're early on, it's like, whatever I say goes. So I take that, and I think through that, it's not really whatever I say goes. It's more like, whatever you say, make sure you say it with respect.
Right.
Like, I don't care what it is. You want to do your homework, tell me respectfully. You want to go clean your room, tell me respectfully. And also tell me why.
Right.
Like, give me the why. Don't just say I want to clean my room. Tell me why you don't want to clean your room. Explain to me. Help me understand. Right. That's my corporate upbringing. Like, help me understand why this isn't working. Right. So that's where I fine tune what my mom said. Because like you guys say, it just gets redundant. It gets combative. You start to just mad yelling and arguments. It doesn't make the place feel like a home. And I want our house to feel like a home and be filled with love, and for both my daughters to feel safe. So, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm still in that.
Yeah.
Say what you want, but tell me respectfully.
Yeah, just I
never thought of that.
Because it's quick. You know, my daughter's 11, so she'll start going through womanhood soon.
Oh man.
And there's a lot of
I'm going through this right now.
there's a lot of emotion that comes with that, and I can see the emotion rising already. I met her when she was 7, you know, and from 7 to 11, I'm like, whoa, like there's a big jump. So a lot of that emotion is coming out, and it's like, oh, I'm like, whoa, calm down, breathe, let's take a deep breath. Now tell me what's going on.
Right.
Tell me why. Okay, that makes sense. Or no, that doesn't make sense. You're going crazy. So yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a Caribbean household, super strict parents. My dad was a pastor, still is a pastor, but just, man, it was whatever they said was law, especially dad. You know, mom was the good cop of the two, right? And she would kind of give me and my siblings a little grace and leeway with certain things, but dad was, there was no leeway. It was my way or the highway type of situation. So I just try to be different in that sense with my kids. I'm not big on like toxic masculinity and just trying to puff out chests just to lay down a standard. You know, I want to have some kind of democracy in the house, right? And I like you guys. I try to listen to my 9-year-old especially, because you know he's super verbal and he's super intelligent, so he picks up on little things. But you know, just try to create a kind household.
Yeah. Absolutely, and I agree 100%. I think there's that atmosphere of respect. I like what you said, Francis, about listening more. Being a good listener is always important. Having, you know, I feel for you, girl dads for sure, and going through the changes with growing into womanhood. But as fathers of sons, you know, growing up, you know, you got a little too much bass in your voice, son. Man. So you got to, you know, check them sometimes. I never really had that issue with my sons. I respected my father enough to do that. But one of the things, going back to when we were talking about becoming a man, I was 22, like I said, when my father passed, and 3 months before he passed, we got into an argument. I felt I was grown. I finished college, and you know I was trying to do stuff, and he was like, "You can't do that." And I was, you know, we got into it a little bit. But the one thing he said to me, which stuck to me today, is one day you'll know how much I mean to you as a father. And so I carried that with me. And so now my sons, we have an understanding. We're not friends. That we definitely are not friends. But when things come up, you know, it's funny because, like, you know, I always used to, like you mentioned about your good cop, bad cop kind of thing. I used to always want to ask. I always went to my mom first. And the next thing was, go ask your father. I was like, oh man. And so now, what my sons do, they do similar. They'll talk to my wife first. And she gets all this information. I'm like, yo, I didn't tell me nothing. You know, say anything to me. And then I find out, and then I'll, you know, say, hey, I got this, you know, I heard about this, and then we'll talk about it. But I think there's that healthy respect, not necessarily fear, but healthy respect. I think that you want your children to have in the home, for sure.
Quick question for the girl dads, right? Yeah. Do the girls with the older girl, do the girls come to the dad first, or they still go to the mom first?
It depends on what it's for.
Yeah.
Besides money.
No, I still think it depends on what it's for. So, for instance, my daughter, she wants to go to a birthday party on Saturday coming up. She went to her mother first. Yeah, so she didn't want to ask me, but if she wanted to, I guess, wear something to school or go shopping or something like that, she'll come to me first. So I think it all depends on, and you would think she would want to go to her mother first.
That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so
I feel like a mom would be a
little.
little more strict, like, nah, you can't wear that.
Yeah.
And we like, yeah, as long as you're having fun.
I think I'm a little, so that's why I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
My daughter, she's about to be 10.
Yeah.
And I guess she's developing now. So she wants to, take a deep breath.
Yeah, take a big one.
So,
because it's coming.
The other day, her mother bought her like some trainer bras and stuff like that, and I seen her with it the other day, and I automatically like snapped at her because I just got fearful for a minute because I'm like, I remember her being my baby and now she's in the training, bro. Like, what's going on? And I had to apologize to her after. I had to go there after, like, listen, you know, it's hard for daddy to see you know, growing up so fast. And I have to understand, but you can't wear it just out like that. You have to wear it under your shirt. Because she was wearing it to bed one day. She had like the whole set on to bed. I'm like, you're 9. I don't want to see you like this now. But it was a conversation that I had to have with her. And that's why I love I love fatherhood, because it shows you growth. Yeah. It shows you personal growth that, yes, even though I did snap at her, I quickly, you know, repaired it, realized, and apologized within the same day. Yeah. And I think that was important for her to see that.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me. Like, apologizing is a big thing. And I didn't understand how important it was. Yeah. Like, I was like, oh, I messed up. I should be all right? And it's like, no, she won't. And she'll remember forever. Yeah. And then, like, when she gets older, she's going to resent you for these things that you did. And it's like, nah, you have to apologize. Even when, like, I don't want to. Because I, like, let's say, like, we got to it and she's wrong and I'm wrong. I still have to go back and be like, I should never say it like that. I should never told you like that. You know, especially because, yo, I want both my daughters to grow up, get married, and be with men like me. So if I want that, that means I have to show them what a good man looks like. A good man for them. Mm-hmm. So I have to, like, so I want her to be with a husband who's going to apologize to his wife.
She won't take no for an answer. If he don't start apologizing, he's out of here.
Legit. So you have to set those examples. So glad you apologize. Yeah.
My grandmother taught me that, and I remember I couldn't. She used to tell me this when I was like in middle school. She was like, when you have kids, if you ever shout, hit, anything like that, make sure you apologize to them after. I used to sit there and like, whatever, grandma. Swear to God, I remember one time I shouted at my daughter. And I don't know what's in our voice, but if I raise my voice, she starts crying. Come to find out, I'm just hungry. And I realized that with myself, like, if my daughter is around me, I have to eat before I'm around
Grab
my daughter.
a Snickers.
Yeah. So I remember I shouted because she has a tendency of, like, if she'll just say daddy, 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 until I literally look at her. I could be right here. She'll go daddy and think I didn't hear it. Right. She's daddy, 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 and I shouted. And I remember she went to her room. I go in there, I apologize, and she gave me this very deep hug, as if it's like, it was almost like she was saying thank you for saying sorry. And then she apologized, like, sometimes. So we had this whole moment. So I 1000% agree with y'all. We have to apologize, even when we're right. Yeah. It's just the way we go about things.
The way it comes off.
So 2 things. I'll touch on your point. I'm big on apology culture, because growing up in a Haitian household, parents, there was no such thing as them apologizing to you, even if they were wrong. Mm-hmm. And there's been instances in the past, right, in my life where my dad might have been wrong, and good luck with that apology. I still haven't gotten it to this day, 30 some odd years later, right? But nonetheless, big on apology culture, because that means a lot to the kids. Like, you have to show when you're wrong, and it gives that human side to being a father. Because I think they look at us as superheroes, and they forget at times that we're human. So,
we forget we're human sometimes.
For sure. And I think the second point is the bass in the voice comment you made. That one is really important, being a boy dad. I tested my dad, I think I was like 17. Mm-hmm. I thought I was grown. I was like a senior in high school, and came home late one day, and he was up, and he was like, I thought I told you don't come in late. Right. And I tried to be a big man and puff my chest up, and I believe I raised I put up my hands to like fight him, and he's like, what? You put your hands up? Safe to say I didn't fight back, because after I put my hands up, after I put my hands up, something like I had a come to Jesus moment where it was like, nah, that's your dad. You can't hit your dad, right? That, But I put my hands up, and he was like, oh, that's all I needed. Right. And he gave me the best 2-piece I've had in my life. Wow. Like, seriously, the best 2-piece. And the biscuit on the side, right? And that was a moment I realized, don't test that.
Yeah. You ever caught your mom's hand? Yeah, you ever had that moment? Like, you caught the hand? No? That was the moment I was talking about. Oh, yeah. One time I caught my mother's hand, and she looked at me as if I had 9 lives. It's like, oh, you definitely dying today.
Well, I think that's why having conversations to prevent those moments.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
Because that was the breakthrough that where we could actually communicate with our parents, where our parents knew like, hey, this is not my little baby no more.
Right.
Yeah.
This is now a person that is growing into their own man, and I have to now communicate with them. So I believe what we're doing now with our children, with communicate with them at a younger age, they don't have to go through that breakthrough where they feel like, hey, I have to snap at my dad or I have to be disrespectful to get that respect from them. I could just communicate with my father, and now we can have a more understanding relationship. Now, that's why I'm so happy. Like I want us to sit back and look at fatherhood now. It's beautiful right now what we're all doing.
Absolutely. And communication is key. I definitely had a similar moment with the apology thing, and I wanted my dad to apologize for something. I think I was in high school too, and I never challenged him though like that. I know you were brave, but
Stupid more is a better word to use.
so my dad was shorter than I was, but he was, kind of husky kind of thing, and his hands were like 2 of mine. So I always felt like if he ever made a fist and it like connected with me, that always kind of image went in my head. But I remember I asked him about the apology thing. He came to me afterwards and said, what I did, I made a mistake. You want me to apologize? And it was like a pride thing. So I don't think he wanted to apologize because, again, being the father, you're the son, the respect, but I was wrong. So I took that as an apology. I know everyone has mentioned, I know you mentioned growing up, being around different places, but do you feel, because most of us have multiple children, in your own birth order, do you see yourself having a little more empathy towards your child in the same birth order? Like if you were the middle child, or if you were the youngest, or if you were the oldest, or an only child?
Yes. I'm a middle child.
Okay.
I do have sympathy. I do have sympathy for my youngest daughter because she's a middle child. But I don't think it's because she's a middle child. I think it was the time period she was born. She was born in 2019 during COVID.
Okay.
And then my son was born in 2022. So it's like she didn't get that time period to be the baby in the house, go through the procedure. And then my son just came, and now he's the baby.
Right.
So I think that's why I sympathize with her more because when my sister is 10 years older than me, so she was more like a parent. I viewed her, but my brother is 4 years younger than me. And then when I needed that resource and help when my father wasn't here, I felt like I wasn't getting it. My brother would get it because he was the youngest one. So I just sympathize with my youngest daughter from that. But I guess you could categorize it, hey, she's the middle child, I'm the middle child, so.
Okay.
Maybe that's the dynamic.
For me, I was the baby, the wash belly they call it, or my mom. I'm like a middle child on my father's side, but I got a Jamaican father. He had 1 kid with 6 different women, so it's kind of different on his side.
I got you beat.
Huh?
Got you beat.
So growing up, I kind of lived the spoiled baby life up until a certain point. And my daughter, I tried not to spoil her too much, but she's all I got, so she gets everything. So I feel like we live the similar lifestyles and anything.
Cool. Yeah, good.
So I'm my mother's only child. So
Oof.
my dad has mad kids. My oldest was an only child until me and my wife got together and had a baby. So I definitely identify with that. Like she'll do things and my wife is like, I don't get it because my wife is 1 of 4. And she's like, I don't get why she's doing it. I'm like, 'cause she's the only child. Like she doesn't know how to play with anybody else. She plays with herself. So she'll do things like make experiments in the house and messes the whole house up. But that's because it's just her. So I was the same way. Like I would put soap in containers and do all type of weird stuff. Well, it was weird, but that she does that, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I identify with that. I get that 100%. So yes, to answer your question.
For me, I mean, my son Lincoln is 9 now, and Lincoln, he had a lot of time to just be that single kid, right? That only child. And that's part of the reason why I have a Roblox account, because he didn't have anyone to play with. It's like he came to me and his mom to play a lot more than somebody who had a sibling. So do I empathize with him? No, he had a good run. He had a good run, and truth be told, he does get a lot of what he asked for. So, you know, in that sense, he's still a little spoiled. But, you know, Wyatt, who's a 5-month-old, you know, let's see, you know, how he takes to things, you know, being the youngest and having a big brother who's probably gonna help spoil him as well. I don't know. So let's see.
You the only child?
No. So I'm the youngest of 5. So technically, I was the spoiled one. But there's a lot to that. So not necessarily that I was the youngest one, because my mom and dad did take in 2 children that were younger than me during my childhood. So I had to play the big brother for some time. But blood-wise, I am the youngest. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm the youngest of 3. I have an older sister that's like 10 years older than me. And my brother's 6 years older than me. So we were spread out. Our children, as we started, you know, later, like in our 30s, they're 2.5 years apart. So I was happy that they grew up closer together in age, so they can grow up together. But as far as, you know, me identifying with the younger one, I think it's just different. I see him as the youngest, but and I just see him and myself as 2 different people, because he has the closer years between him and his brother, where I didn't feel like necessarily an only child, but I didn't, you know, they were so much older than me that I had to kind of like make my own way. And I, you know, the youngest being the spoiled one, I always look at it as I thought my parents did a pretty good job at like catering to each of our gifts and our talents, and did what they could for each of us. So that's how I looked at it. I do remember what I was going to say before, though, about the coming home late. So, and that's when you got into a little tussle. Sure. So I did that once too. I came home, I was a senior in high school. It was like the end of the year, you know, I got accepted to school, thought I was, you know, good. I had some friends that were like a year or 2 older, so we went to a college party. I came home, the sun was coming up. And it didn't have to put hands on me. My father opened the door and then just walked away. And that was the most terrifying thing in my life.
Oh, he mind.
Yeah, I was like, oh man. Now, like, what am I gonna do? And I tried it. I did try it. I went in the house, went upstairs, like nothing happened. And he's like, wait, well, hold up, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, yeah. So
you gotta always be scared of the silent ones.
Silent treatment sometimes can really mess you up too.
I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna walk away and just sit on the couch.
Yeah, that's what he did. He walked away and was sitting right there, and I was like, "Hey, Dad," and I went upstairs. And I was like, you know, that's what I was like.
He probably is. Look at this idiot thinking this is all good.
I thought I
You even hit with the, I'm sorry.
Because I was like already messed up, and I was like, I was just messed up because he opened the door and walked away. That messed me up completely. I was hoping I could just kind of get by and he'd be sleeping or something.
Quick question, because I do it all the time. Do y'all play those psychological games with your kids? Like, because I do it all the time.
Oh, man.
Like, there's times where my daughter knows she should or shouldn't do something, and I'll just watch her. Just to see how she plays out. So it's like, it's funny that you say that. Well, let me just open the door and see if he apologizes on himself.
I just give a look.
I'm trying to think of a scenario where I'll just play with her head.
But I will touch on that story. So I'm gonna end that story for y'all really quick, right? I'm still here to this day, right? So thank goodness for Mom, right? Mom saved me, you know. Shout out little baby boy. She like, oh no. You know, when Dad put balls on you, you know, it's just thank goodness for Mom. So I'm here today.
Moms are good. Yeah. Actually, with that, I think there's a dynamic with mothers and sons, and we already heard fathers and daughters. Do you see that?
Yeah, I think you see that. I have a very close relationship with my daughters, man, and I think you do see that. But my son and me have a bond like no other. So I wouldn't say it's just with sons and mothers and daughters and fathers. I think it all depends on the relationship with the parent and their child.
I would say me and my mom was tight. From what I hear with my other siblings, they were tight as well, but like I said, my closest sister is 6 years apart, and even with her, she used to back and forth from house to house because we had different fathers. The first 5 all had the same father, and then it was me. So there was times it would just be me and my mom. So we had a very close knit, but it's the same reason with me and my daughter. It's like, my mom taught me, it got to the point where all she knew was her child. I never seen my mom hang out with friends, family members. It was just me and her. So like with me now, when I have my daughter, it's just me and my daughter. That's it. Yeah. So.
Definitely, the relationship me and my mom just passed. So we were like this.
My condolences.
Appreciate that. So yeah, like I was everywhere my mom went, I went. You know, that was it. Like we were together. Me and my daughters, I said to my wife that God had to give me girls first.
I knew I was getting a girl first.
I knew too. I didn't want to admit it. I didn't want to admit it. Like when we did the gender reveal for Emery, and my wife's best friend hands us like the little popper thing, and like pink dust is all in my hand. So I'm tight. So I'm like, because me and my wife wanted a boy, because we got a girl. I'm like, get the boy, right? Split it up. Nope. Because I just knew. But God's like, yo, you gotta be softer. You have to be a landing place. I know it's a question, right? But like, you gotta be a landing place. So the answer to what's soft mean to you, that's what it is. It's like, you gotta be a landing place, a soft nestle of comfort for your family. And I needed that. And only a girl can teach you that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, because I don't have a boy, but I feel like that's what it is. Like a girl, my girls have taught me to be soft, compassionate. And I feel like if I had a boy first, it's not that I've just been a different type of father. And just being a black man in America, I just know the type of dad I would have been off rip. And I don't think that would have been good for me. So like if I get a boy now, I feel like I'll be all right. Because I just have so much more wisdom in that area. And I just feel like he would have it just been hard. And he wouldn't have deserved a hard dad over him. So
Right.
That's what I feel.
My relationship with my mom, always tight. Me and Mom Dukes, man, that's my heart for sure. I think my parenting style, I have to give credit to my dad. I got a really tough exterior when I was younger, right? And it set that standard for like for who I am today, right? Just being strict and walking on the right path and not getting in trouble growing up because of him. And then also because of him, as I got older, when I want to say 25 plus, especially getting into fatherhood, we had more conversations. We didn't have conversations in my younger years. We had a lot of conversations 25 plus. And those conversations steered me to be who I am as a parent today. So with my son, I'm way softer. I have a lot of conversations with him. I talk, especially when we're together alone, like I talk to him a lot and I try to give him advice on life because, no one's gonna be able to give him the lessons that I can give him.
Right.
He only has one dad.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Yeah, similar to you, identify with that. My dad was my hero, but my mom was like, that was mom. So, and I definitely, like I said earlier, my sons, they talk with their mom first before they come to me, and I totally understand that. So I think I'm certainly more sympathetic or empathetic towards that because I know from that dynamic how much moms mean to sons. So they get the love, moms get the love from sons, and dads, especially as they get older, we're cooler, in terms of how we relate to each other, but still mom is always gonna be mom. So.
Since we have boy dads here, I want to ask a question, right? Because with my daughter, I feel like my daughter taught me a woman from the very beginning, right? I feel like now I know what a woman is. But that's why I always wanted a son now, because it's like, well, who am I? So with y'all having sons, do you feel like your son revealed who you actually are? Because I feel like that's what my son would teach me. Like, well, who was I from the very beginning? What do I want like to do from the very beginning?
My son taught me where I was lacking. Yeah, for sure. So I think I'm learning how to be better as a person, as a man, as a father through him. My oldest son, Lincoln, he taught me how to be a better person for sure. I didn't realize I had so many chinks in the armor as a person until he came about, and as he grew older, yeah. So.
Yeah, I would agree. It shows you what you're lacking in specific areas. And something Bryce has said, like if you had a son first, I felt the same way. If I had a son first, I don't know if I'll be the father that I am today, because I would be leading on masculinity instead of comprehensiveness, and kind of teach him how to be more emotional and kind of dealing with, different things that the world is going to toss you. So I would say yes. My son has taught me how to be more condescending about what's going on and how to deal with my emotions a little bit better.
It's similar. My sons, going back to the apology thing, I was like how my dad was. I listened to them more. I think I learned more from my experience with my dad what I would have liked, what I was lacking, or maybe I didn't get. So I wanted to make sure I did that, provided that for them. Growing up, he also, we were talking about being present, being a full-time pastor. He was all over the place a lot. So, and a lot of times he missed certain games. I wanted to be there, make sure I was there for, being present. So that I definitely took and wanted to make sure I was there for them as a parent. You talked about having sons first. My fear, not fear, but I guess if I had a daughter, I think I think I would have been all ham on just if any dude would have been
I'm sorry.
That's not leaving. That don't go nowhere.
That was why I think maybe I didn't have a daughter, because I wouldn't have been right. I don't think I would have been right. Nobody would have been good for her. Nobody.
My daughter told me the other day her best friend is a boy. And I had to
even process this.
I'm sitting there looping like, oh, so he's the one making you laugh, huh?
So I got one really quick question, if I can wrap it up. And we kind of mentioned this, but what are some things that you'd like to implement with your kids that you appreciated from your childhood? Just if you give one thing, maybe.
Strictness. That strictness definitely helped me stay straight and narrow. Yeah.
Respect. I said it earlier. Just like giving respect to those who come before you.
Yeah.
And your peers too. Respect everything. Just respect.
One thing I want my daughter to get is I'm her #1 fan. Like, she'll always have a supporter.
And I would talk about spirituality, excuse me. Can't really say it today. Spirituality. I think it's important that I'm educating my young people, my young children, to make sure that they invested into Christ. I was God-fearing. I grew up in the church. So now, my mother and I, we take them to church on Sundays as well.
Awesome. I agree with everything that was said, but also I want to piggyback on what you said about the financial literacy. One thing I learned from growing up was cooperative economics.
Yes.
My parents, we had a black doctor, lawyer, dentist, accountant, and that's what I wanted to make sure they see that. So that's what I agree.